Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather. Together, we are working to connect women in leadership and business to build relationships, empower each other, improving the health and wellness of our community, body, mind, and soul, sharing the heart and soul of who we are and what we do.
Today's guest loves to help soulful women just like you go from feeling confused, overwhelmed, and uninspired to finding their purpose, getting passion projects off the ground, and creating lives that they love. Please welcome back to the table the incredible Anna Marie.
Thank you, guys. I am so grateful to be here.
We
so
are
grateful.
So incredibly grateful to have you and to hear the heart. So just a real quick recap of who you are and what you do. And then I want to get into the heart of what has been going on, what keeps coming up for you.
Well, I am a life vision coach. So I help you figure out what your purpose is, where you want to go, what you want to do, who you want to be, and really dive into that. And I have a passion for women, especially, you have kids, they start to grow up, and then you try to figure out, who am I now? Right. And so it's that time of our lives where I really like to dive in and help everybody kind of figure out where they're going, because it's really hard when you don't have a passion or you don't know what that is. So kind of what's going on with me, and I'm just going to plug this really quick. I do have a vision workshop going on this Saturday at 9 a.m. It's having fear and doing it anyway. So really excited about that. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So just plug in that real quick so that everybody can join in as well. The last time we were together, we kind of talked about our thoughts and our self-image and how we create the results that we have. So if you don't mind, can I jump right in and share a little bit about a mental faculty called intuition? Have you guys heard of intuition?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So it is, the faculty comes to our aid, whenever things seem to be going crazy and we can get a little silent, it really shows up, and we can develop this gift that we get. And so it's really an internal guiding system, and it is super powerful. And so
I just want to say, I'm hearing you say we can develop our intuition.
Yes.
I think that's really powerful. I'm really excited for you to talk about this, because I think that's super powerful, especially when we feel like we've been closed off from our intuition for a while. Especially right now, we're coming into spring out of our hibernation. Maybe this is a great time to tune in, like let it grow and tune into that. This is great. Thank you so much. All right.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, but it's also my favorite thing to do. So I like to spend some time with my intuition. It really helps me be creative in the life that I want to design. And so I can ask specific questions, and we'll get more into that, because there is a difference in the questions that we ask the universe and the questions that we really want to happen. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. So our thoughts really create a vibration or a frequency, right, where we want to grow and go. And so it's kind of like that radio you have in your car, and you're like, oh, I don't want to listen to that. And you click a button and the frequency changes. And so our vibration on what it is that we want, it goes out into the universe. And then those thoughts are on a vibrating level that get higher and higher and higher. And so if we're thinking constrictive thoughts or really kind of negative things about ourselves or things that are going on around us, the universe can only give us, right? Our intuition can only give us what we're giving it. And so we have to be really mindful about how we do this. And we do this without consciously thinking about it all the time. We say to ourselves, oh, this situation, I wish it was different. Well, we can make it different by talking about it differently. So our intuition will show up as, like a gut feeling or, when you just know that you know that you know. Have you ever felt like that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And yeah. And so what was it telling you? Do you have something specific you could share with us? Something that you thought, oh, I've got to turn left. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think the biggest example is as we learn and grow through the podcast, we keep getting these universal reminders that we're on the right path, that we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing, and that the return on investment is going to be well worth it, because there's no stop signs. It's like everything says go. Everything says go in this direction. There's no friction.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like I've never had this happen before. Like, and I think about these moments that I have probably dropped into my intuition. These must be those moments where I was like, women in leadership, randomly, community, like these like random things. I'm like, what do these have to do with what I'm doing right now? Like, like it's just got to be easier. So I'm excited.
Yeah. And that's exactly how that works. So the Pulitzer Prize winning play, The Secret of Freedom, Archibald said, the only thing about a man that is different is his mind. Everything else you can find in a horse or a pig. So we think in images, right? We think of images. So when I say the beach, what do you see? It's an instant. You have the sand, you have the water, maybe some waves rolling on. You might even see maybe a surfer, or if you really get into it, you can see boats and seashells, right? And so we can really let our conscious mind be that intelligent part, where the subconscious mind is where we have programs and paradigms. And so our body is that instrument, and our senses are hooked up to that conscious mind. And it is a part of our mind that we accept and or reject the information from the outside world. However, the subconscious mind does not know the difference between real and imagined. So think about that for just a moment. We know that we say 5 + 5 is 10, but then we have a mythical horse that can fly. The subconscious mind doesn't say the math problem is right and the other one is not rational or it's not real. It just says there's a flying horse and here's a math problem. So it doesn't determine, right, or make a judgment regarding the information that we receive. It can't determine between negative or positive. And its main function is to help us, facilitate the information that we receive from the conscious mind. Okay. So if you're already acting as if you have what you desire, what are some things that would really be doing? What would you be doing differently if you already thought, I'm a millionaire? How would you be acting differently? You would put on that form, right? So let's just say you're past your midway of your podcast and now you're making millions of dollars. How would you be acting differently, right?
Thank you for manifesting that for us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me, what would you be doing differently?
I don't think what we would be doing would be all that different, but we would have other people to help assist us to make things a little more easier, a little more time management.
We actually ask ourselves those questions a lot because we do want to grow. So we put like when we make a system, we think about like, if I was to hand this off to someone else to take our pre-podcast phone call, like to screen somebody to see if they, or like, hey, we already screened this person, go check them out. Right. And, we've already kind of like talked about that. Like, okay, we would want to still screen them. And then we probably like pop in real quick and then let somebody else give them all the details. Right. Like we already kind of talked about that. So we talk about like, how will that feel? Because I've really learned that like when I feel it, like, and then I can show up in a different way. Like you're changing your vibe, right? Am I doing the things?
Yes.
Am I doing
Yes.
the things?
Yes.
So we
Yes.
actually like, we're like, what would, I think that's kind of how we started January, was like, what would it look like when we're successful?
Yeah.
What will it look like when we're making $100,000 a month? What will that
Yes.
look like? And, you know,
Yes.
how do we want to show up? So then I think we changed kind of how we show up. And now we're like implementing systems and ways to make it easy. And we're not like all over the
Yes.
place, and things are organized, and,
Yes.
you know, even more like, you know,
Yes.
like the next level,
Yeah.
like it's just
Yeah.
like the next right thing, the next right thing.
Yes, that's exactly right. And you look at what it is that you want to accomplish, and then you act like as if those things are already happening. And we say things as if they're already happening, right? I am making $1 million, $100,000 a month, and that's this year. Next year, I'm going to double it. And so we talk to ourselves differently. And how would you feel if that $1 million, you know, at the end of the year, and it was that, and you did all your tallying, and you had $1 million that you had made over this last year? How would you feel?
Pretty freaking amazing.
I think
Yeah.
it's
You'd
an
be like,
impact. The
yes,
impact
yes.
that, I mean, just the impact of having conversations is huge, but the impact of having the money to do the things too, like,
Yes.
you know, like
That-
it's,
yes.
yeah, I have goosebumps. Like, like
Yes,
the impact
that's
in our
exactly.
community would be really grand.
There's a lot
Yes.
Will be really grand.
There
Yes.
is going to be
Is.
a lot more that we are able to do
Yes,
because it's happening.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
it's happening.
it's a thing.
it is a thing. It is a thing. So when we put that on, we begin to feel that vibration, and that vibration is more likely to go with us in the times that we do not have that vibration. We can recall it and bring it forth, right? Because our mind has two parts that communicate with each other to help each other, to help it understand, right? So it's imagine that you're an iceberg, and the visible part of the iceberg floats above the water. However, the majority of the iceberg is underneath the surface. So the conscious mind is above, the subconscious mind is what's below. And so the unconscious mind holds all of the awareness, right? It sends out those suggestion signals of what it is that we would desire. And the conscious mind creates the image of what we would love. And then the subconscious mind goes to work with spirit to come up with ideas, solutions in order to bring it into existence, right? So Wallace Wattles, in The Science of Getting Rich, he says in his book, it is a formless substance that permeates all creation and existence. So this is the gateway to the higher consciousness, right? Some examples of intuition may be that when you go up and talk to one specific person in a room full of people, or you feel that I've got to turn left. And you know what? You just found out that there was a major traffic jam that you just avoided because I have to turn left. Have you ever grabbed an umbrella when you left the house not really knowing why, and then later on it rains? That's the type of thing that intuition comes to us as a feeling or an image or even a concept, right? It's our inner truth. And it provides information that is apparent in any given situation. And it often comes as an inexplicable urge to do something or avoid it. And that's how we get to stay safe, right? We know that we're out in the forest and all of a sudden we don't see it, but we just feel it. And we turn around and there's a bear over there, right? Because we know we're going to get eaten if we don't get out of the way. So if we're quiet and really let that intuition talk to us, it can guide us out of trouble and into success. So you can actually reprogram your mind as well. Did you know that you could reprogram your mind and break old patterns? And if they're not serving you, let's replace them with newer ones, more positive ones. So here is an action step. In the absence of knowing how, What is one thing that you would love to create in your life? In other words, what could you do if you did not believe it was impossible? And that's really for our viewers to sit down for just a moment and write that down. What could you do if you did not believe it was impossible? Because that is an array of things that we could do. So every question that you could ever think of will always have an answer. There's nothing we can think of that hasn't already been answered. Albert Einstein says this: if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. Opportunities are either unlimited or limited by the questions we ask. So here's an example, as I talked about a little bit earlier. Here's a question: how can I afford to take a vacation? The universe, our intuition, will shape answers around that question. What you asked is what it will give you in return. It will answer it with that limiting belief and offer up, images that stay within, okay, a staycation for the weekend, because you can afford that, right?
Right.
But what if you ask the question, how could I afford to take a vacation to the most exotic, wondrous place I want to go, and I want to get paid doing it? Do you feel the difference between the two?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a powerful difference, because when you said vacation, I'm like thinking, okay, get on the plane, drag the kids, deal with all the things. But then you said this exotic luxury vacation. I was like, I'm on a plane in first class. I'm drinking the Mai Tais.
Yes.
It's all that mindset, right? And the
It
imagery
is.
that
Yes.
we feed ourselves.
My
Words.
sister
Yes.
said she'll only travel if we get her like the first class private cabin.
Mhm.
She's like, I'm not getting on a crowded airplane, but if I was like, well, that's opening up an option at least. I was like, why not? Let's say it. Like, let's put it out there.
Yes. That's exactly right. Tell the universe what you want, and then it'll come back to you. And there's always going to be a different answer to the different questions. So if you limit the question, the answer will be limited. So we start to imagine the ways that we want to make money while we're on vacation in that exotic place, instead of worrying if we can travel at all.
Right.
And so it is through our subconscious mind that we can attain anything that we desire. And to remind you, it is so cool, right?
Yes.
So cool. It is, because if we can imagine it, it can happen, because the connection that we have with the higher power, the connection that we have is a creator as he is as well. And you can call it God, spirit, whatever you want. I call it God, right? I call him God. And so I have that connection. And so I have a purpose, I have a will, and I have a path. And that's laid out to me through my intuition. And right now, we're not supposed to know the how. The how is not for us. That's for the intuition. And that's for the universe to say, here's my question. I want to get paid on vacation, and I want to have palm trees everywhere around me. And so I want that. The universe then says, this is how. All we have to worry about is the what, right? And so our intuition is very quiet and a gentleman. We must be still and quiet to hear it, because it will only speak to us as loudly as we are willing to listen. So, is there any area that you really want to focus on? One question you'd like to ask your subconscious mind in order to make the changes in your life. Ask that one question: how can I go on vacation and get paid? And then sit and be quiet. And it doesn't have to be hours. You can do it for 10 minutes and come back to that same question. Come back to that same question. If you're not getting anything, then change the question and see what pops up. And that's how we do it. Stillness, quietness, and be still to listen, because as long as we're willing to be quiet, our intuition is willing to speak to us. And the universe says, hey, come on, let's do it together. And all kinds of things pop out, and you wouldn't even think that they were ever going to happen before. And like, boom, here's magic. Whoop, there it is, right? So make a decision. Where do you want to go on vacation?
Oh, the imagery is just so fabulous. And I think that's really great that this came up, because we're actually planning a vacation. Like, we're planning on
Nice.
This
taking
is
time
great.
off.
That's
And-
how I got you too. Like
Mhm.
I made this
Manifestation.
vision board, and I had these tall trees and had this living room,
Yes.
and I didn't know exactly like how it was gonna come out, and a
Yeah.
she shed, and next thing I know, the universe gives me a Charlie who comes with all
Yes.
these things. Like, I love
Yes.
seeing like how it plays out, like not
Yes.
being so focused on this is the way I want to go, but
Yes.
these are the things I want to create in my life. Like, it's like a
Yes.
separate, a different focus, and it's just
Yeah.
beautiful watching it unfold in front of you. Like,
Yeah, because we think in pictures in everything that we do. So if I said dog, you picture your dog.
Right.
Empire State Building, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you name it. I say your kitchen sink, and you think of your kitchen sink. You don't think of SINK, right?
right.
You know,
Unless
so
you're like that
when we
little
start-
kid show called Word World, where everything was made out of the words it said. Like, so pig was like the shape, the word PIG, the
Yeah.
little shape pig. Okay, got it.
was the
Okay.
shape of a pig. Got
Yeah,
it.
that's the
That's
only
good.
way I could think of like the
Yeah.
word being the thing. Like, right.
Yes, absolutely. But then again, that is an image, right?
Right.
It's
Mhm.
not just a word, it was an image. And that's how we think. And so when we really say, okay, infinite, this is what I want to do, and it's up to you to tell me the how, post the question, and be quiet. And just let it come, and just let it come. Be open to it. And when you're first starting out, it's not as easy as somebody who's been doing it for years. It
Oh,
takes
yeah.
time to build. So be
Mhm.
patient with yourself. Give yourself grace and continue and continue. And if you don't think the question's right, you can call me and I will help you with the question.
I love that.
I love that.
Because sometimes you don't know the question to ask, right?
Yes.
Because we really we're so pinpointed on what we do know, right? And we're
Yes.
not comfortable in that uncertain space until you learn to be uncomfortable in the uncomfortable, right? Like that change
Yeah.
space, right? Like, it's a cool feeling to get in that comfortable change space. But
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
also think that this whole topic that we've just been discussing with you, Anna Marie, goes really great with our topic of the week, which is Dvesa, clinging to past suffering. Because if we are not manifesting all these things that we want in our lives, we're clinging to things from the past that no
Right.
longer
Yes.
serve us.
right.
Yes. Yes. We all have a past, right? We all have a story, but that story can be rewritten and reframed, and we don't have to live in that. It's not who we are. Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right. Ooh, so cool.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
cool. So our quote this week is clinging to a past that doesn't let me choose. Sarah McLachlan from I Will Remember You. What kind of things come up when you think of clinging to past suffering and clinging to a past that doesn't let you choose?
And I'll give you an example for myself. When I was younger, my father always told me, "Oh, girl, you don't have to worry about education. You're going to get married and your husband will take care of you." Nope, that didn't work out very well. So I have been married a couple of times, and I believe, I know that I sabotaged that because of the belief that I had from my past that you are supposed to take care of me and I have to go get a job. So that really destroyed that marriage. And so that past came in and hit me with a limiting belief and those paradigms of what it should be. Since then, I have reframed my thinking. And it's not about who has to go to work or who doesn't go to work. It's about talking about how it needs to happen. What is it that the plan that we have? How are we going to do this? What do we want to do? And so we come together and we sit and we think, okay, I should get a job or not get a job. You meditate on that and you let the intuition tell you, yes, you get a job and this is what you're going to get to do, and leave it there. Because we bring up that past and we so can just, it can beat us up for years and years and years and years. So when it pops up, reframe it, reframe it.
I love that, because I really clinged to this limiting belief that I wasn't intelligent, that I wasn't smart. And and to make up for that, I have an associate's in business. I've been to massage school. I've taken so many online courses, like you would not even believe, because I was challenging myself to get smarter so I could feel like I could have a real conversation in a room, but it was still my limiting belief. And I thought everyone knew all these things already and that I was missing but I had no idea. And now I can see that I'm intelligent and that and it took a while to figure out that was a root one for me.
Yes. And they can be very rooted, right? And they can, and it's bit by bit. So those paradigms and it's a frame of thinking called a paradigm, right? It's the way we think. And so we can say, oh, well, I fixed that and I no longer have it. But then something else comes up and that paradigm shows up again. Because I'm sure after all of your studies and everything you've done, you still walk into a room and you're thinking, am I still smart enough? Well, I have all of these certificates and degrees and, all of these things, and it still comes back. Until we get to the very, very root of it, little things will pop up. You're not smart enough. Who are you to think that? And when they do pop up, the thing that we do is we interrupt that and we say, up until now, I used to think I was not smart up until now. Or I break that and I replace it with, I am smart. I am adorable. I am able to go into a room with the president and have a conversation. I can walk into a room with a biker gang and have a conversation, and everything in between. And we keep telling ourselves, remember, the subconscious mind doesn't know if it's true or if it's not true. It only knows what you tell it. So if we keep telling it, I am all of these beautiful things, the negative things that we think about ourselves eventually are reframed and gone.
Yeah, and that's how it happens. And it's one piece at a time. It's like putting it together, this puzzle. And it's like one piece at a time. It
is exactly like a puzzle. And you think you have all of the pieces and then one's missing, and it pops back up. And then you can grab control of that and push it away and say, no constrictiveness here, ladies. Yeah.
Right?
I need to breathe.
Anna Marie, these are such great tips for growth and for ourselves and our personal journeys, as well as our business journeys, as well as many of our listeners I know needed to hear what you had to say today, which is kind of the magic of our podcast, is because sometimes things come up that we don't expect. And it's like, oh, we needed to hear that today. We know somebody else needed to hear that today. And I think that is part of like the importance of the authenticity of our conversations with you. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm so excited to be here. And, as you said, sometimes our listeners, they just needed to hear that. And as sometimes I'm teaching, right, and I'm coaching my clients, I'll be teaching something and it clicks in the back of my head. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because we're all human, right? We're all human. And it doesn't matter what we do or where we're at. We all have learning to do and growth to do. So don't give yourself grace. Give yourself grace.
I love that. And again, the name of your class coming up is
The vision workshop, having fear and doing it anyway.
Can we find it on your Facebook?
Yes, there's an
Okay.
event on my
Excellent.
Facebook. Yep.
Excellent. We will we'll add that
gonna go
link
grab
in
it.
here. Oh, she's gonna go grab it right now while we're talking.
Oh, good.
I'm
Okay.
going to go ahead and talk to us a little bit about our cause of the quarter. Because as entrepreneurs, we are the leaders in our communities for giving. And so it's important for us to reflect and make sure that we're connecting to a way to give into our communities. So in honor of the Dogs of Podcast, they have asked to have their representation. We picked a local charity called the Boogie Bin. This is in honor, that's what, it's in honor of a dog that has passed away. And the gal that runs us is going to be on the podcast here in a couple of, I don't remember when she's coming. Everything feels like in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think she's just a couple weeks out.
Everything feels like a couple of weeks. But I'm also planning July, so everything feels like a couple weeks. So sometime between now and the end of the quarter, she'll be on to talk to us a little bit more about her passion and why she started this up. But what they do is they collect new and used pet supplies for a small local rescues, nonprofits, places that maybe aren't the mainstream place to get donations. So, because we know about like the City Pound and we know in our area, we know CASA, we know NOAA. These are the pet places right here in our local county. So you probably have ones too in yours that you could just like rattle off, like the local ones. So she tries to kind of get a little deeper and get to the ones that people don't really know about, that maybe help specialized issues or all sorts of cool things. She finds really cool places and makes sure that all the stuff that gets delivered or gets collected gets delivered to a charity. So even if they're collecting for a charity that does cats and you donate a dog thing, they're going to make sure it goes to a dog charity so it can be used.
Super helpful.
Super cool. And all of their stuff is already in the links and will be in the description.
Yes. I dropped Anna Marie's class in the comments below, so make sure you go check that out and follow her on her Facebook, Instagram, and all the places, because she is amazing and I am inspired by her always.
Thank you.
And thank you, guests, for joining us today on the Women in Leadership, Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. We love you all. We support you all. And here's to an awesome year ahead.
Yay!
Yes.
Namaste.